to the other big news, and that will be the NC2A drama. I'm sure you guys heard Johnny Football. I love Johnny Football.
I did too until off season.
Oh, stop it. You hold that thought. Johnny Football, he won the Heisman Trophy as a freshman. He came out like gangbusters. A little guy who from a little town and just lit it up. That's what pure sports fans want to see. Okay, so now we're trying to figure out, is Johnny Manziel a thug? I don't know the whole details about why he got kicked out of the Manning's football camp, but I know it said he went to New Orleans and he got drunk and he missed the practice, and they found that to be unacceptable for, okay, fine. So then the question came for Johnny Manziel, which I had not seen for any other athletes, correct me if I'm wrong, a poll that said, is he not a thug, but is he a bad boy, or is he just a typical young college teenager who should be able to make his own mistakes? That's the thing that I reacted to. So then we had the next issue, which you're going to tell us about more detail, where an agent who was supposed to protect him asked him to sign.
Not an agent. He
Who was it?
He was a sports broker. He was
Same thing.
well. He was
A snake, a scandalous individual. How many adjectives?
He's
do we
not an
need?
agent. He's
He sells sports memorabilia.
Yes.
Okay, so
Broker,
a broker asked Johnny Manziel to sign a number of items, and then he was going to hawk them. But he paid Johnny Manziel to sign his name, correct? And Johnny Manziel accepted the money.
No, you have no proof that he accepted money.
You're right.
It's suggested that.
So what are we talking about? Why is the NC2A involved, and why is this such a big deal now?
Because simply you have recordings that imply, implied that he would be getting money.
When?
Don't know, but it was implied on there. So and that's all you need is something that implies. You don't have to have proof, but you don't have to have, let's say, something that I'm looking. You don't have to have, okay, I know you got $7,500 or whatever the price was in your account. The recording was enough to start the investigation. It implied, the recording was enough to imply that I asked you to do this, and it is understood that you're going to get paid. Why? Because then a little later you come in with a second recording in which supposedly he didn't know, I'm sure he didn't know he was being recorded. So you have to say, why would this broker, if this is his business, why would you run the risk of recording this kid and getting him in trouble at the expense of not only him, but your own business? Because now you're going to be viewed as a shady dealings among other athletes from this point on. Well, you can't be trusted.
Well, wouldn't you say that's the same reason why Roger Clemens' trainer held on to a freaking syringe for years? Because he held on. It was his security in case monies or something. That's ridiculous.
Go well.
That's ridiculous. Okay, I'm about to start some controversy.
This broker got what he asked for,
right?
And then he came back later along with another guy and asked him, "Can we pay you more? Can we give you more if you will sign detailed autographs?" Say, for instance, he was just signing signatures on footballs or football helmets.
Right.
If you say to football mom, you're my number one fan, right. Johnny Manziel.
Right.
So that's gonna be extra to get some extra wording on my autograph.
I still don't see
and
the problem.
And he said, no, I can't do that. So that right there was enough for the NCAA to come in and say, well, obviously you've been paid for just your signature.
Yeah.
And then turned around and asked,
Well, I'm calling flag.
What you got?
First off, this is something that weighs deep on my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because NCAA, and yes, I'm talking to you, NCAA.
Oh boy.
Is a joke, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because let's just go to Texas A&M for example. I don't know the exact number. I can't put a dollar sign on exactly how much money they make, but I will tell you with Manziel coming
lot of zeros
with
behind it.
Manziel coming into the program because as we all know, University of Texas is the #1 grossing college in the world.
Really?
They make their football program makes anywhere between $80 and $100 million for the school.
80 and $100 million for the year
school.
or for the season?
For the season, for that school. Every
For the
year.
football season?
Yeah, just the football team. Not talking about basketball, none of that. And
Well, while you're making your point, I need to just go ahead and say, for that reason, they should pay the players. And that's, I don't know if you think Johnny Manziel shouldn't have signed it or what your position is or what your position is. Or players should be getting some sort of compensation for what they do. It's pimping on a grand
They
level.
are getting compensation when they get that $100,000 of scholarship money to guarantee basically a future.
well,
Who's talking about education, though?
first and foremost, and I'm a 2 times for you.
Oh my God.
When you're in NCAA football, all right. First and foremost, first off, especially let's just talk about Division One. Division One goes anywhere from Sun Belt, that's where I played at, all the way up to the SEC, Big 12, and all that. All these schools make different numbers and they have different budgets. And certain schools have to play certain games to make certain money because I remember when I was at ULM, go Warhawks. We actually, I remember when we beat Alabama in 07.
I'm gonna throw the red flag on you if you don't hurry up and make
I'm
your
getting
point.
to it.
This is TV
But see,
time.
this is the thing, you make a certain amount of money for all these different programs.
Okay,
right? And with this guy being the focal point of the program, and they don't give you any kind of compensation for that, you know, okay, yeah, you have your education, but that does not guarantee anything when you get out. Because there's a lot of guys that get their education and get out and they working 9 to 5. They not if it was true compensation, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna play football, I'm gonna make you $100 million. And when I get out of school, I need a job with 5 to 6 O's behind a
I'm
number.
gonna sit back and let you answer that. Is it true compensation?
Nope.
He said when you graduate, if you graduate and you are
It's
drafted, hold on. If you graduate and you are drafted, you are guaranteed to make at least a 6-figure salary for a certain amount of time. If you graduate and you are undrafted, or say like the NC2A commercial says that there are so many athletes, but there are a million more who go to school and they're working in other professions. But we're talking about athletes here, and you already know that's a show for next week where education is de-emphasized. And we are talking about people who are coming to school on an athletic scholarship. So the education is on the back burner from the get-go. They're coming, you going to University of Texas, or Texas A&M, not for their great agriculture program. You're going because they're on TV, they're in the SEC, the top football conference, y'all can argue that if you want to, the top football conference on the planet, and that's why you choose that school. And let it be known, because everybody knows, that boosters are paying these kids and giving them benefits that non-students are getting. In fact, give me a hand. Walking up at the end of the game, great game, and when he opens his hand, there's a wad of $100 bills in his hand. So what's the difference? If you regulate it and say, if you play a full season, that we are going to compensate you by giving you X besides they allow you to come back and get your education even when you're 50, right? If you go to that school, it still applies, your scholarship is still intact.
Okay, if you're saying that athletes are getting money from boosters.
Right, we know this.
Okay.
Oh, they are.
Let's understand something. Why is it that only certain athletes are special enough to get that? If you're not giving it to everybody, then somewhere down the line it's unfair.
Well,
Is
the
it
rule
not?
ain't fair.
Exactly. So why are you saying that it's fair? It's not fair that they're getting their education paid for.
Because not everybody on the football field is going to be a professional athlete.
Now,
So,
now,
No, you missing the
football
point.
mom.
Now you
football
just,
mom.
now you just said
Come
that
on.
that
Come on, man.
just because they have a degree don't mean that they're gonna get a good job but you have
That's why you need
have
money.
by getting the
Well,
degree
you gotta understand,
you have
most of these kids that
put
come into
you have stepped above a whole lot of people
True.
who do not have that, who are not even high school
But come on,
graduates
Diane.
or let alone have college. So you place yourself in a little higher, you know.
You're
No, no.
already placed on a higher echelon coming into the school as an athlete. People buy the tickets to see Johnny Manziel and whoever the other stars are. The supporting cast
When they
is standing
started
on
the
the
first game,
sideline.
when they started that first game of the season last year, or the second game of the season last year, when them people bought those season tickets going into that 2012 season, they had no idea what Johnny Manziel was capable of.
We can be hopeful. What is your point?
Well, my thing is, talking about boosters and everything. I actually have a friend that played at a much larger school than the school I went to, and he even told when he came in as a freshman, he wasn't even the top-rated guy to come in on the defense, and he was paired up with a booster his first day there.
Yes, we know this is
So
going on.
you got to understand. I mean, you're talking about. They didn't know what he was gonna do or whatnot. First off, they was excited that they was in a new conference. All right, which honestly, I'm not a Texas A&M fan. I mean, you went into a tougher conference and you just left the conference. You never really ever win. But anyways,
But they beat Alabama,
they beat Alabama. Yeah, we beat
the
Alabama.
national champion.
You beat Alabama when they were not Alabama. Let's not
Nick-
act like you beat the
Nick
number
Saban
one.
was there.
Let's not
Nick
act
Saban
like
was there.
you beat
Nick
the
Saban was
defending
there.
champion
Nick Saban was
Alabama.
there.
Stop
Nick
it.
Saban was
Stop
there.
it, ULM.
Nick
Come on
Saban was
now.
there.
Stop it now. You didn't beat
Nick Saban
the
was there.
defending
Hey,
NCAA
they was
champions.
there. They was there.
So
Same coach, same
So,
team.
somebody-
I need
I
a
got
flag.
this
I need a flag and a whistle on him because he is foul. Okay, but they are not. This is not like the 80s and the 90s anymore, where athletes are still being given handshakes and a booster. I know for a fact.
Yes, they are.
Well, where's mine?
I don't know why you haven't gotten yours, but yes, they are.
Where's my new car and my new house?
Well,
Somehow I'm being cheated.
maybe later
I don't
on.
think they should
If that's what we're gonna accuse every big school of
get your
doing,
job, get
where's
your-
mine?
get all
I'm
this
missing
stuff
mine. I'm gonna need mine.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking to. I'm gonna need my house and my car, my job. Okay?
Okay, Outlaw, what do you have to say?
I don't think they should have the booster. I think that, I think it should be illegal. You get that scholarship. What you do with your education and you do with your life,
It's
that's
up on
on
you.
you.
I keep putting my glasses
But-
on, y'all, to look up the word that applies to both of these. And I was looking at naive, but when I was reading the definition of naive, it did not say what I could say
I go on reality.
in more articulate terms. Girl, are you crazy? Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen.
I'm with her.
We're not gonna
I
get
feel
rid of
that.
drugs.
I feel that way.
But when the ones that get caught doing it, they should get punished, plain and simple.
Okay, so how severe should the punishment be? We're back to Johnny Manziel. You already know what happened. He signed his autograph, allegedly got paid, so now they're discussing whether or not he should be eligible to play this season. What's your take on that?
Well, if they can prove that I'm not talking allegedly.
Right.
You gotta prove it, plain
Okay,
and simple.
okay.
If they
You don't have. It's not like a court of law. It's not like a criminal trial. It's more like a civil. You
Well,
know.
she's an outlaw, that's all she knows. So how they gonna prove it?
if you can prove it, hey,
So if you can't prove
if,
it,
if they have recordings or if they can trace the money,
when they have his signature and it's verified that he signed it,
he signed the thing, but they didn't prove that he got paid for it. That's what I'm saying. You
Okay.
gotta prove you got. I could sign a
But now
million
the
things all day and
now the
nobody's gonna pay me for it.
NCAA has a right to get a court order to look at his bank records. But if
he put it in his bank.
But if he's smart enough, he was
Right.
paid. So accordingly, he was paid in cash, and so that was my whole preference of how do we know his parents, who are 3 generations oil people.
Really? I didn't know he had wealthy parents.
Oh, yes, he's privileged.
Okay,
he's
he is.
privileged.
He is privileged.
Now,
So he didn't need
now,
one. He's not one of those kids that needed the money.
he didn't need the money.
Okay.
He has a Mercedes-Benz that his
So he already
privileged
has a
parents
Benz.
have.
Okay.
Yes.
This is
He's gonna
verified.
use he said he supposedly said in the recording that he was using the money to buy new rims for his Mercedes.
Okay.
But let's put it in terms of this. When Terrell Pryor at Ohio State and all that went down a couple of years about some free tattoos or some discounts on some tattoos,
But he was
some discounts on some cars, used cars or what have you. These guys got 3, 4, 5 game suspensions. They're saying now all of a sudden when major media markets question the NCAA as far as the selling of signatures or personalized jerseys and such and profiting off of that. What is so different about Johnny Manziel signing his autograph, and why can he profit off of his name when the NCAA is doing it? Until these major media markets brought up the issue, went online, saw that you can buy these personal jerseys, then all of a sudden, it becomes an issue, and we're going to take them down, we're not going to sell them. Okay, so why is it that a privileged white kid
Okay. Now you
can
talk.
come in and all of a sudden the NCAA, who has fought not paying athletes, not giving them any kind of benefits or or a percentage of sales or what have you, even just giving them additional stipends. And now all of a sudden that you got this privileged white kid, we want to change the rules. Why? Because he's the hot ticket item. He's gonna interfere with their money intake. We gotta have him on the field. If he's not on the field, we're gonna
He
lose
should get the
money.
same punishment.
But in the
Not gonna
meantime,
happen. But wait.
they want to change the rule so that we can keep him on the field. But yet, just a couple of years ago, we had these African American kids, and I'm not making this. To me, it's not about race at all.
No, it's not about race. It's
But there's-
about it's about the fact that what you said. This guy comes from privilege. You cannot prove that his Mercedes was bought by an agent
No, they're not-
or a booster.
they're not
His
saying
mom,
that.
I know what I'm saying, but you cannot prove it. His mom could go write a check and buy him a Mercedes. There's plenty of kids in high school at Lamar and Episcopal and all of those places where kids are driving. But by comparison, we saying it's not race for the Ohio State players, but now we're talking about disadvantaged kids who it is obvious their mom and dad, there's no way they could have afforded the big trunk jewelry, the job that they had. You know about it, sweeping the floor at the car dealership, paying them $500. I don't know if y'all know about it. That's what we did on the West Coast, paying them $500 a week, and they just showed up. I think we had an incident here where a kid got suspended, but you're saying that they should be punished. So now we got to talk about what punishment should Johnny Manziel and people like Johnny Manziel face, because I'm gonna lead you on. Based on what you're saying, based on your thought process, it sounds to me like this is going to have to be a Supreme Court decision, because there aren't enough lawyers that can go against the big old NC2A and challenge what you say. But you have a point. Here you have major money on one end, and now we have the martyr who is all of a sudden, we're going to have to change the rules now. Because apparently Ed O'Bannon and that group of kids who challenged
Challenge to the NCAA, who's currently challenging the NCAA
for the EAS game.
about using their likenesses in video games.
But they got
and such.
nowhere.
It's not, the case does not go to trial until July of 2014.
All I'm
So-
saying is it's not as big a deal as Johnny Manziel.
Well,
that was like
the
second
thing-
part of the news.
The thing was, the NCAA has fought against having to give him any percentage of
Even though
earnings.
he's graduated.
Even though he's not, they're still using his likeness, even though he's no longer associated with any university, they still have the rights It's all about still having the rights long after you have completed your eligibility.
But he never signed anything.
Yes, when you sign your letter of intent,
Oh, that says we can use your name, your likeness.
it is written in there,
Okay.
and there's no limit on that. Now, if you go back and say for the next 4 years or 5 years that you are under our guise and we're paying for you to go to school, that's one thing. But they have forever, infinity.
No, well, on
They
that
have,
note,
and so I think
no
that's
football
more-
mom. No, on that note, if I sign my letter of intent, then that says that you owe me something over and beyond an education. Now, at some schools, I know Texas A&M is one of them, maybe UT, that if you write on the application that you went to Texas A&M, you're going to get considered for that job. Now, I don't know if it's because of
And that's
the
a, and
company.
that's a lot of schools.
Now I feel like you're doing something for me as a non-athlete, as a non-student. But still, for the athletes that go there that don't make it beyond college level sports, there should be some compensation based on what you just told me. Once I sign that letter of intent, you can take my picture and you can promote whatever you can have billion-dollar gaming industry, and you don't owe me anything.
But in reality, how often does the NCAA or university actually take a non-superstar kid and use their likeness?
I don't know. Does anybody know anything?
How often do they ever do that?
Every time that you go on to, every time you buy the NCAA game, they do that. Everybody, the whole roster's on there.
The whole who?
The whole
roster.
entire roster's on there. And you
Okay.
can pull up every single person. You
Oh,
can
the
play
same way with
backup.
the NFL games, right?
Yeah,
The
just
whole
like that.
roster.
You
Okay,
can-
so
you
now
can
what?
See, I don't play video games, so I don't know. I didn't know what they
Now,
had on there.
you're not gonna have a non-superstar. You're not gonna have, third string running back.
Who has a
the
jersey?
kid that I don't know. He walked on and he put a little weight on, but he can't. He got 2 left feet or something like that. You're not gonna have him on no billboards and nothing like that. But you still use him. You gotta understand. It takes every guy on that team to make the team work. It's not just the superstars, because every team only has a few superstars. You might have your running. You might have maybe say like most teams nowadays they have like 1 or 2 superstar running backs. Quarterback either is a hit or a miss. He's either halfway good or he all the way good. You might have 2 linemen that are real good, and the other guys is kind of they're decent.
But as a team,
decent.
as
But
a
you know what I'm
unit,
saying? Exactly.
they produce a championship. Okay, how are we gonna conclude
But and then
this?
you have to say also with the jerseys, they don't produce every jersey. Every university don't
Well, you
produce
know-
every
you know-
jersey.
well, you can't.
If you're not the star, you're not.
You're
And,
not
You're not there.
and so it's
They're
not,
gonna
so
have
if you're
1 or
not
2
the star,
jerseys
that's
that's
not
right.
your issue.
Right. So you're
It's not your
agreeing
issue.
with me.
So, but
you are already
what you're
privileged.
trying to say is you want to give everybody something on the backs of a few. So it's never going to be fair.
Every guy that makes the roster should be paid, but the
did just say
superstars
that
are
everybody
always
on the
gonna
roster
have
is
more
always
privilege.
used in some kind of way. In some kind of way, everybody's used.
So everybody should
you,
get checked.
You might have that guy. A lot of times with teams, they'll have like the football players go out and do things for the community, and not now. And sometimes people pay the team for that. You know what I'm saying? It's not always a community service deal. And sometimes you'll send that guy that might not be the guy that's maybe been on the team 4 years. He's he got straight A's, so he got the highest GPA on the team, and they want to talk about grades. And so you're not finna send
Vince
you
Young.
know you're not
Oh, sorry,
you're not
Vince,
finna send him. You're not gonna send a guy that's real talented but not real smart. You're gonna talk about book knowledge. You're gonna send third string guy
you're gonna
because
send
he's the
your-
guy with the
you're gonna
3.9.
send your academic
You're
star.
gonna use the guys as you see fit.
Okay, so we need to wrap this up. Should the players be compensated over
Yes.
and beyond the education that's afforded them?
And are we talking during the time that they're there? In that case, we're talking
During the time that they're there?
a stipend. We're talking an
Yes,
extra
we're talking a
stipend.
stipend, yes.
And
beyond your room and
Here
board.
is my view on that.
Okay.
Since the
It's a yes or a no.
Okay. Yes, you can say yes. But it's a
It's
lot
a
of
yes or a no,
yes,
but.
it is. But there are a lot of coaches who are now agreeing with this.
Okay. But.
But the thing is, no one knows how to fund this, and at what levels, and how much, and and then you have to make it fair for
pick and choose.
bigger schools and smaller schools because they
Oh,
want,
here we go
they
with
want
that
the schools
again.
to pay for it. But
There's a
I
lot of
feel like
gray
since the
area.
NCAA
There's a
is
lot of gray
profiting
area.
off of
The
merchandise
nationwide.
and they have and it's $1 billion industry,
Right.
use the money for merchandise sales or what have you to fund the extra stipends.
Okay.
And you make it for, you break it up into the divisions that the schools are in, not the small schools, bigger schools, but you have smaller and bigger in Division One.
Right.
All Division One schools get the same amount every sport.
I agree.
Get the same, if you give the same amount of stipends for every sport,
I
whether it's
agree.
from soccer to football,
Okay.
everybody get the same amount.
Okay.
And you make the NCAA use the money that they're profiting off of merchandise sales. So they're paying the schools this extra stipend. That way the kids can, then you can say that they are giving back to the kids, or that, you know, the kids are benefiting from something.
Okay, how's this
That makes
for an
it fair.
idea? How about they split it? How about the schools pay a certain portion of the stipend and the NCAA pay a portion of the stipend?
Because
Hold on,
all
football mom.
small
Hold on.
schools cannot afford that extra funds. Small schools such as schools in the SWAC, the HBCUs, the SWACs, the MEACs, and what have you, don't have that extra funds. We're struggling just to maintain
You're right.
a year-to-year program. So no,
Okay,
we
so we're
can't.
getting nowhere. We're getting nowhere. Do you think they should pay the players?
I don't.
Do you think they should pay the players?
Yes.
Okay, there you have it. So the last topic of the day, we are going to wrap this up really quick. I'm sure you're all aware of the new terms of the hip hop industry. I think hip hop turned 40 yesterday or this week. So yay for hip hop when they said it was never going to go anywhere. But of course it started out as something very different than what it is now. But one of the words that came out of the hip hop culture was bitch assness. They tell me that P. Diddy, or what's his name now? Is he still P. Diddy? Is he Sean Puffy Combs?
Yeah,
Puffy?
he's still
Puff
P. Diddy.
Daddy, that guy. He came up, he's the one who coined this phrase, bitch assness. Does everybody know what bitch assness means? I think it means a man who
Heinous.
does something that is remnant of something a female would do, which I guess we could take offense to that, but whatever. Anyway, so we're gonna go around the room and have everybody think about an incident in sport that applies to a bitch ass move. I'm gonna go last. All right, Ref E, what you got?
All right, I had to think a little hard on this. I'm actually gonna take this to bodybuilding real quick. Your boy Cali Muscle and the hyphy mud and everybody going off on this man. You know, I mean it's obvious this man takes steroids. You know, and I understand. You know, he's out there. You know, doing his personal training and stuff. But you know, I mean, we know what's up. Let it go. And this is to all those people that's hating on Cali Muscle. Y'all are the bitch assness. You know what I'm saying? The man got out of prison and did his thing. You know, just let that man make his money and keep it moving.
Okay, Outlaw, what you got?
Okay, I'm going to go to the NPC as well. There was an incident where a man, I can't think of his name, he lost, he flipped off everybody, flipped off the judges. I think he should have been banned. That little bit of temper tantrum and behavior he had, and then he turns around, he comes back, and he wins another one.
They let him back?
Yeah, they let him back. He
Okay.
showed his ass on that one.
Oh.
He threw a temper tantrum just because he lost.
And you are a bitch ass. Okay. Football mom.
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant has spent his entire career being a whiny ass,
Oh my God.
spoiled brat bitch. I'm not gonna even call him an ass. I'm simply gonna call him a little bitch. He cannot play well with others. If it's not my way, I want my ball and I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna try to take your ball and go home and steal it and go home with it. If it ain't his way, he's not gonna play well with nobody. He wants other guys around him so that he can win championships, but when he gets there, he wants to carry the game all by himself while the other four stand around on the court. They're not needed. What we trying to build something around him for? Kobe Bryant, you are a bitch ass nigga.
Oh my God. about that. But as we close the show, my person of interest here is Terrell Owens. Oh my God, do you really have to cry after every major incident? Yes, they were talking about Tony Romo. He's garbage, and you wanted to back him saying, y'all shouldn't talk about my quarterback like that. Yes, we should. We don't even understand why he is still starting for our beloved Dallas Cowboys. The other incident, every time you get on the podium, you have a bad game. You want to cry and tell us that we need to understand and don't be so offensive. So, Terrell Owens, stop being such a bitch. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next week when we are going to talk about mothers, stop pimping your sons.